want to share 6 habits that will quiet your anxiety faster than any medication or therapy session. These work because they directly target your nervous system. These are the ones I use whenever anxiety hits. The first one surprised me the most because for the longest time in my life, I thought journaling was useless. I can just think in my own head. I can process my own thoughts. Why would I need to write it down in a piece of paper? No, it's stupid. Oh boy, I was wrong. For the first time, I tried it in a particular anxious moment. I just wrote down everything, what I feel, everything, what I thought. And it felt like magic. It felt like everything that is fogging my mind got cleared. What I did was stream of conscious writing, getting my anxious thought out of my head and onto the paper. And it also made me detach from thoughts. When thoughts are swirling in your mind, it feels so overwhelming. It feels so heavy. But when you actually write it down, you realize that they are just thoughts. And you don't have to be afraid of those. Because in most cases, most of the thoughts we have, most of the thoughts we worried about, doesn't even make sense. Here's how I did that. You can journal in your note app or grab a piece of paper and a pen and then just write for 5 to 10 minutes without any structure, without any specific order. Just write about what you feel, what you think, what is something that is making you afraid, everything, whatever that is in your head, just dump out all into the paper. The goal is to externalize the internal thing in our head. But if writing isn't your thing, here's something more physical. When your environment is chaotic, your mind is chaotic as well. And there is actually science behind it. Cluttered space increases our cortisol level, but cleaning gives your anxious energy somewhere productive to go while creating immediate order around you. What you're doing is using physical control to calm your nervous system and regain control of your mind. Anxiety often makes us feel powerless, but cleaning is something that we can control completely. You are taking chaos and creating order around you, which sends signal to your brain that things are manageable, that you don't need to be panicked. So just pick one small area, your desk, your bed, your kitchen sink, whatever. Take 10 to 15 minutes and do a deep clean, and you will be surprised to see that whatever that is making you anxious will go away. But if you feel like even after cleaning, you still have that anxious energy, that means you have a lot of anxious energy trapped in your body. And this is where exercise comes into play. The physiological responses you get when you're anxious and when you are stressed is almost identical. Exercise burns off those stress hormones and releases endorphin, which makes you calmer. Any movement that makes your heart rate up works. You don't have to overthink, just do whatever that comes to your mind. You can do jumping jacks, you can do push-ups until you stop getting anxious. You can go for a run, or you can even do like brisk walking. But the key is the intensity. You need to feel like you are working your body. I found that when I'm really anxious, like gentle exercise, like sometimes when weightlifting doesn't really help me, but vigorous exercise like sprinting, doing HIIT exercises help me a lot. It's like I am burning off the excess anxious energy through movements. But sometimes you need to do something quieter, like when you get anxious to midnight. You can just go to exercise, right? This is where meditation comes. Meditation teaches your anxious brain that you can observe anxious thoughts, but not to be controlled by them. You might think meditation is boring, meditation is stopping thoughts, but it's not true. It is about changing your relationship with your thoughts. Because when you are anxious, you become identified with the anxious thoughts. You don't normally think, I am having anxious thoughts. You think, I am anxious. You think every thought that's in your mind are real. But when you meditate, it creates space between you and the anxious thoughts. You start to see anxious thoughts as temporary things, not as a reality fact. And meditation is very simple to do. Just sit comfortably, close your eyes, and just try to observe your thoughts. Focus on your breathing. And anytime anxious thoughts come up, don't try to judge yourself. Don't try to be carried away by the thoughts. Just acknowledge the thoughts exist and just let them go. And after some time, another thought will come. You do the same again, and you do it over and over again. You try to let the thoughts go. And this goes transfers to real life whenever anxiety hits. Like, you don't panic anymore. You become calmer. You don't identify yourself with the anxious thoughts anymore. If sitting still is hard when you're anxious, you need to try the next one. It is doing long walks. When you are walking, it regulates your nervous system. Walking naturally regulates your nervous system. What you're doing is slow, intentional walking without any distraction to let your mind process and reset. So most of the time, anxiety comes from being stuck in mental loops. But when you walk, you are changing your environment and you're engaging your body and breaking that anxiety. Don't listen to anything. Just go for 20, 30 minutes and just let your thoughts wander. And don't try to solve your problems or don't do anything. Just walk and just breathe and focus on the nature. I found that most of my biggest breakthroughs came from doing long walks. There is something about walking that make your mind process differently compared to the rest. But the last one is my absolute favorite. It is the one that works the fastest whenever anxiety hits. It is doing box breathing or any other deep breathings. Doing deep breaths activates your parasympathetic nervous system and tells your body to calm down. When you are anxious, you are in sympathetic fight or flight state. Your breathing is shallow and rapid, but box breathing flips to parasympathetic state when you are in relaxed and digest mode. And the reason I love box breathing more than any other breathing is it is very simple to do. I mean, you are just doing 4 seconds inhale, 4 second hold, 4 second exhale, and 4 second hold again. And you're just repeating for 4 to 5 minutes. And after that period, I became so calm. I do it whenever I feel anxious. And the beauty about this thing is you can do it anywhere, anytime. No one would even know that you are doing it. So simple and convenient. You now have 6 powerful tools to deal with anxiety. And if you want to know how to rewire your anxious brain for good, you need to check out this video.